Everything looked normal. That was the conclusion. That was the comfort. That was the mistake. Daniel wasn't worried when he went for the test. He had no reason to be. 29. Strong. Always moving. The kind of man who believed that as long as you could get through the day, you were fine. He didn't feel sick. He didn't look sick. And in his mind, that was enough. The test wasn't even his idea. It was required. A routine workplace medical check. Just something to get done and move on from. He walked into the lab casually. No hesitation. No fear. Just another task on a long list of things to complete. The needle went in. The blood flowed. The sample was taken. And just like that, it was over. He didn't think about it again. Not that day. Not the next. Not even when the results were ready. Because in his world, nothing ever went wrong. When he finally opened the report, he wasn't searching for details. He was searching for reassurance. His eyes scanned quickly, line after line, value after value. Everything looked normal. And just like that, his mind relaxed. His body followed, and the thought disappeared. He closed the report, and continued his life. Because that's what the word normal does. It ends the conversation. But what Daniel didn't realize was that the conversation had just begun. Hidden inside those numbers was something subtle, something quiet, something easy to miss. A small shift, not outside the normal range. Not alarming, but different. Different from his previous state. Different from where his body used to be. And in medicine, difference matters. But Daniel didn't compare. He didn't question. He didn't even consider the possibility that normal could still hide change. So he moved on. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and life continued the way it always had. Work, stress, deadlines, late nights, early mornings. Daniel kept pushing, because that's what he had always done. And for a while, everything felt fine. But then, something shifted. Not suddenly, not dramatically, just quietly. He started waking up a little more tired than usual. Nothing extreme, just different. At first, he ignored it. Because tiredness is normal, especially when you work hard. Then it happened again, and again, and again. Fatigue became familiar. It wasn't enough to stop him. Not enough to scare him, but enough to stay. He told himself it was stress, work pressure, lack of sleep, reasonable explanations, comfortable explanations, safe explanations. But deep down, there was a feeling he couldn't explain. A subtle awareness that something wasn't exactly the same. Still, he did nothing. Because nothing felt urgent, nothing felt dangerous, nothing felt serious. And that's how the body hides its earliest signals. Not with pain, not with alarm, but with normality. Months later, during another routine check, Daniel repeated the test. This time, he paid a little more attention. Not because he was worried, but because something inside him was curious. He opened the new report slowly, more carefully than before. His eyes moved from one value to another, comparing, noticing, thinking, and then he saw it. That same marker, the one he had ignored before. It had changed again, still within range, still labeled normal, but clearly moving, clearly shifting, clearly not stable. And suddenly, everything felt different. Because now, he had context. Now, it wasn't just a number. It was a pattern, a direction, a quiet progression. And for the first time, Daniel felt something he hadn't felt before. Uncertainty, not fear, not panic, just a quiet realization that something had been happening without his awareness. He sat there, staring at the report, thinking about the first test. The one he dismissed so quickly. The one he trusted without question. And he understood something he had never considered before. The body does not change suddenly. It changes gradually, silently, patiently, and often, it does so while everything still feels normal. That was the moment everything shifted for Daniel. Not because he was suddenly sick, but because he was no longer unaware. Because now he understood that normal is not always the full truth. That numbers don't just need to be read, they need to be compared. That the body doesn't wait for you to notice. It simply continues, adjusting, compensating, adapting, until one day, it can't anymore. Daniel closed the report slowly, not with relief this time, but with awareness, because now he knew something most people ignore. The most dangerous changes in the body are the ones that don't feel dangerous at all. Everything looked normal, but his body had already started moving in a different direction.